What's up, Lions fans? Welcome to the Week 2 preview of the Detroit Lions versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In today's episode, we're previewing the Lions offense and Tampa Bay Bucs defense. We're also taking a look at the matchups of the Lions defense versus the Bucs offense. And then, as always, we're finishing up with our player prop bets for the week. But before we begin, Drew, take it away.
This is the Lions Main Podcast.
What a beautiful voice, Drew. As always, I always love hearing that intro. How you guys doing? You guys had a good week so far?
Gorgeous
Living the dream, baby.
Living the dream, man. 1-0. We're still riding that high. How about you, George? You feeling good?
I'm feeling good. Lions are winning. It's interesting the schedule that they give us with the playoffs. You know, having done what we did, and we got another tough opponent. I mean, they play well.
Yeah.
I feel left out. This looks like the Mustache Podcast.
Hey, you got to get on schedule with us. Come on, man. Yeah, it looks like the football gods blessed us with another great playoff matchup, and so tensions are going to be high, feelings are going to be high. I know a lot of fans on both sides are going to be a little rowdy going into this game. I'm just happy again, just like the first week, that this one is home in Detroit. From what we saw in Week 1, it looks like Tampa Bay could be a tough opponent, potentially challenging for the NFC South. So, looks like it could be a good matchup.
Yeah, did you guys see what Dan Campbell said? Just about
what did he say about
these first two matchups? He was just like, both of these teams could be, division champions at the end of the season, and so just basically said, it's like, reality is, it's like, it's good to get one early,
Oh yeah.
And I think that's, obviously that's what happened last week. Took care of business. Could be NFC championship preview, and I think similarly to this, to the Bucs this week.
I mean, the Bucs.
Yeah, no.
And the Commanders are supposed to be one of the worst teams in the league, but without the garbage time touchdown for the Commanders, it was almost a 4-score game. So the Buccaneers offense particularly looks like it's a real threat. And so this isn't, bad football teams don't win by 20 in the NFL. So it's a good team coming in.
That's good. That's a good point, Jim. That's a good segue. How about we jump into the breakdown of the Lions offense versus Tampa Bay Bucs defense?
So there's a couple things here. I think, Drew, you'll get into the line play. I think that's one of the things that, last year we saw that the Lions actually had pretty good protection for Jared Goff, particularly in that playoff game. I think he got 8 QB hits across the 2 games, which isn't too dramatic. Actually, pretty solid protection. But what I'm more interested in is, I don't know if you guys have seen it, there's an absolute insane number of injuries in that secondary, including to probably their top DB, who's Antoine Winfield. On top of that, obviously, we took one of their starting corners from last year in Carlton Davis III. I mean, him and Jamal Dean were both, I'd say neck and neck as the kind of the best corner on that team. But, you take one of those guys away, take Antoine Winfield. There's been injuries even in their depth at corner and safety. So I feel like this was going to be a really big bounce back game. I like Amon-Ra to go kind of nutty in this game. I feel like they're either going to do one of two things. They're going to try to take him away just like the Rams did and learn the same lesson that J-Mo is now a viable option and is going to get a lot of yards, get a lot of points. Or they're going to let him, they're going to cover everyone one-on-one, maybe shade towards Amon-Ra. So I'm really looking for Amon-Ra to have a bounce back game. Sam Laporta. I think the Lions offense is going to do pretty much what it wants. Not to jump ahead to what you guys are probably going to cover, but I think that's really where the game is going to be won or lost on the other side of the ball. I feel pretty good about the Lions. I feel pretty good about Jared Goff, 300 yards plus, at least 2 touchdowns, and Sam on the ground. I feel pretty confident on the ground, although I think their front seven's a little bit better than their back 4.
Yeah, just to jump in there, Jim. So like you said, obviously, I think a huge storyline going into this game is the Bucs missing some key players on defense. They're without at least 3 starters. I know you mentioned Antoine Winfield, but also Elijah Cansey. Didn't play in Week 1, might not be ready for the game this week. Same as Logan Hall. And then just specifically the DBs, there's 3 of them that went down on top of Antoine Winfield. That's Zion McCollum, Bryce Hall, and Josh Hayes. So just piggybacking off what you said, Jim, I think it's a big day for Lions pass catchers. I think think they've got like one like starting DB. Can't remember his name right now.
Jamal Dean. Jamal Dean.
Yeah.
He's the only guy.
Yeah.
And by the way, not to interrupt you. On top of that, Tyke Smith, who's supposed to be one of their depth guys at safety, is sick today at practice. Did not practice. So there's a non-zero chance they're down yet another guy. This is truly like the Rams' offensive line last week, but perhaps even more severe because you don't have a Stafford to kind of bail you out, and I don't think, like you said, Drew, Kalijah Cansey's hurt. There's another, I forget who was it, Logan. I forget his name on the other guy on the front on the line that's maybe out, might be limited. It's definitely going to probably be feeling that injury still. So you don't have that kind of safety net like a Matthew Stafford to bail you out as he did last week. That Bucs defense in general does have Levante David in the middle. It does have Jamal Dean, but neither of them is going to be able to have the impact that Stafford had to cover up all those injuries.
I got one counter for you guys just for that. So, from what I'm seeing, based off of the like Wednesday injury report, everything you guys are saying is true that those DBs didn't practice. But how much are we reading into that? Because the Detroit Lions injury report said that Penei Sewell didn't practice, and like JMO was limited. So I mean, I know it's Wednesday, the Thursday injury report. Could it just be the fact that they're resting them for the game?
So,
that's what I would say. More than likely, they're probably resting them before the game.
I guess, and just the question that I want you.
I wouldn't say that actually. I wouldn't say that because, and Drew, you're probably going to back up what I'm about to say. Antoine Winfield Jr. is not playing. That's for sure. Josh Hayes is more than likely not playing. That's almost for sure. Zion McCollum looks like he's trending towards playing. Tyke Smith, we don't know. And that also neglects the fact that they've already lost a couple guys for the year. So this isn't like their backups is who's getting injured in this case. This isn't, last year where they had Carlton Davis, Antoine Winfield, and Jamal Dean, and one of those guys gets hurt. This is their starters are out and their backups, and several of them, including Josh Hayes and Antoine Winfield Jr. There's almost no shot they play. Tyke Smith, have no clue. Looks like Zion McCollum's trending in the right direction, but they also lost what's his name, Drew Bryce something for the year.
Bryce Hall.
Bryce Hall. Hilarious.
So what does that mean about Penei Sewell?
Well,
Penei Sewell. Well, go ahead.
I think that the names that I listed that I read off just a few minutes ago are all injuries that happened in the last game, outside of Cansey and Logan Hall. They were all injuries that happened, and so I mean, as far as Penei Sewell goes, like I think there's not anything that we heard to make the assumption that he is missing practice due to injury and not just rest or nothing from the normal bumps and bruises that happen throughout a season.
Well, they even came out and said it's precautionary, and you haven't heard the same message from the Bucs. Look, the bottom line is they're going to be down at minimum, 3-4 guys back there, and from the start of the season, 4 or 5 guys. On our offense, JMO had a limited practice, but typically if I see a limited practice Wednesday, Thursday, and especially the messaging is good, you usually assume they're going to be good to go for Sunday. And same with Penei. They literally said it's precautionary, and he's playing on Sunday. So it's different because you've got that, and on the Bucs side, you don't have that. You already have guys out for the year. You have guys not practicing 2 days in a row with no clarity. Antoine Winfield, they didn't put him on the IR, but he's definitely going to be out for a couple weeks. That's basically the messaging. So it's not looking pretty for them on the back side of the defense. And the only way that I could see them, kind of putting up a fight is if Goff is still out of rhythm.
Right. Just to move on from the DBs and those injuries, I think for me one of the big matchups that I'll be keying in on is the offensive line, particularly the tackles. You obviously mentioned Penei Sewell, but Taylor Decker as well. We touched on this a little bit, but outside of overtime, I didn't think the offensive line played particularly well in their opening game. I thought middle quarters they were pretty disjointed, allowed Jared Goff to get hit, and I think 5 times, sacked twice, and so particularly it's this matchup with and I'll butcher his name, but it's Joe Tryon Shoyinka, former first-round pick for the Bucs, pass rusher. I think he's going to primarily be matching up on Taylor Decker, and so I think that again, I don't think that this is a particularly strong Bucs defensive group. But if there was, a player that I would key in on, I think that matchup is going to be good. And I think, I want to see this O-line kind of, I would say, like, bounce back from last week and prove their dominance. Kind of get that, keep rolling from what happened in OT last week.
Last thing I'll say is, if Kalijah Cansey is healthy, him and Vita Vea are a tough duo in the middle. We have a good group in the middle, but I think again Frank can probably handle one of them. One of Graham or Kevin Zeitler is going to have to step up on the other. If Kalijah Cansey's hurt, or not playing, that's a little bit different. And then of course there's always Levante David in the middle. He's a star linebacker, been that way for a while. So it's not like they don't have any talent. It's just that they have a ton of injuries and they weren't like a world-beating defense to begin with.
Just to finish up and kind of summarize it, I think part of this too is like we're trying to predict what the Lions' game plan is going to be, right? And so I think it'd be foolish, and you kind of saw this last week in the game plan against the Rams. But like, if I'm the Lions coaching staff, like I'm looking at the same thing and seeing the missing pieces for the Bucs and looking at that as a target. Obviously, I think the Bucs are going to come ready to play. Obviously, after losing last year, but just looking at the openings on what I see as vulnerabilities in their defense, I think it's going to be big passing day for Jared Goff and his offense.
No, I think you guys gave a good assessment of how you think the Lions offense is going to fare against the Bucs defense. One thing I will say is that PFF has the Bucs defense ranked at 27th against the 8th ranked power offense for the Detroit Lions. And so I'm hopeful, and I think you guys got me feeling good about our chances against the defense. But I don't know, not showing out last week against a bunch of rookies and second-year players kind of leaves a sour taste in my mouth. So I hope you guys are right.
Kane, you got to remember it's Sean McVay, and those rookies, Fisk and Verse, looked legit. So we'll see how it's continuing, but McVay's a different animal.
That is true.
It's the first game, too. Let's not overreact.
No, let's.
Right. It is the first game. Well, I guess that leaves us now to talk about the Tampa Bay offense versus the Lions defense and just some notes to share with you guys. So pretty clearly, the Buccaneers beat the Commanders last week 37-20. And as we went back and looked at some of the film, the Buccaneers looked really well-rounded and solid, posting 112 rushing yards and 280 passing yards. So seriously, a full, well-rounded performance. Baker Mayfield himself was 24 for 30, 80% completion rate, posting 4 touchdowns and just shy of a perfect QBR at 157.44. Don't know if that's more of a testament to the Baker being, a veteran, and in some people's eyes he is that guy, or the Commanders being a young and rebuilding team. One thing I do want to point out is Baker had seven different receivers in this game, but Mike Evans with 61 yards, 2 touchdowns. Chris Godwin with 83 yards, 1 touchdown. And then the running back, Rachaad White, who looks fantastic all around as well, had 75 yards receiving. Those were his main recipients. So heading into week 2, PFF ranks the Tampa Bay offense at 19th against the 7th ranked Detroit Lions defense. And then some of the notes that I have for the Detroit Lions is that the Lions did prove a much tougher team against the Rams, as the Commanders obviously did against the Buccaneers. However, I will say the Lions did give up more total yards of offense. And Jim, to your credit, that's a Sean McVay, Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp, most likely because of them. We did give up a total of 387 total yards of offense, but we did prove tougher within the red zone. And when we did give our players in the shit list for last week, I did bring up Terrion Arnold and how once we entered the red zone, he was targeted. So the one matchup that I'm looking at this week here, my number one matchup, is looking at the resurgence of Chris Godwin, and then obviously Mike Evans is him. Looking at that matchup with those two number one receivers up against our DBs, most notably Terrion Arnold. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, you bring up good points, Kane. I mean, it's going to be interesting now that LA's kind of set, I don't know, sort of a playbook that works on us. Hammer the inside. I mean, even though Anzalone balled out, I mean, it was those check down shorter than 10-yard passes to Cooper Kupp that just destroyed us. So will they do anything like that?
Sure.
And the next thing we know, we got Mike Evans, being protected by one of our linebackers. Like, I know Drew's always worried about Malcolm. I mean, Malcolm's had a couple interceptions, I'll say that. But yeah, I can't agree more with you. It makes me a little nervous. You were last year.
Hater.
No. I think Malcolm serves a role. I love him on special teams, and I love him coming in. If he's blitzing or whatnot. But fair enough. But no, to your credit, so like Mike Evans, don't have the stats on this, but anytime we see Mike Evans excelling and doing what he does best, that's when it's that one-on-one matchup, especially like in the corner of the end zone. They threw one up to him this past game, and if we don't expect to see that at least twice, then you're fooling yourself, because that's what they do. Chris Godwin coming across the middle seems like an automatic every single play, hitting those drag routes, kind of like what we saw out of Jamison Williams in week 1. So yeah, we got Eric Anzalone. Sorry, Eric?
Alex.
Say it again.
Alex Anzalone.
Jesus, what the fuck?
David Anzalone.
Yeah, we got Marcus Anzalone guarding Chris Godwin coming across the middle. That does scare me. And then that Terran Arnold matchup one-on-one on the outside with, bro. Some people might put him in their top 10 receiver all time, Mike Evans,
so
up on the outside.
Let's slow down a little bit. Let's slow down before we overreact to that, because one of the things I wanted to bring up was the D-line, who got a lot of pressures. Aiden's leading the NFL right now in pressures. He's tied with somebody. But, that's crazy that Stafford was able to do that. I know we glazed them all last episode, but Stafford is, I mean, he's great. Is Baker going to be doing what Stafford did? I don't know about that. And the thing is, if Aiden's pressuring and you got the right tackle, Luke Godecki from Central, which is actually kind of a cool shout out, Michigan versus Central right there. Who he's been injured. He has not been practicing, but again, are we reading into that? I don't know. Jim says we got to read it, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So you do have to read it, pal.
Yeah, I think we do have to consider it.
I got a storyline for you guys, if you don't mind me interjecting.
Go ahead.
Go right ahead.
So, Bucks offensive coordinator, a guy named Liam Cohen, was oddly enough the Rams offensive coordinator back in 2022. Spent last year in college ball. But one of the things I read preseason was, they were going to move Godwin back inside into the slot. And he was in a press conference. This is Cohen saying he wanted Godwin to play the Cooper Kupp role in this Bucs offense, which I just, interesting storyline.
So
you're just trying to trigger me.
I'm trying to trigger you, but I also who do you think we put on? Who I'm particularly keying in on?
It's Amik. It's going to be Amik guarding that. But those offensive coordinators don't let the nickel come down and guard him. Every time we saw Cooper Kupp getting loose on the outside, they make it some rub routes, whatever the package is, switching the play, sending a guy in motion. They're going to make it so. I would love for it to be Amik. That going in the season, that was one of my guys. You were saying that Carlton Davis is your guy to look out for, and mine was Amik Robertson. So I love that, but I don't think if this guy's such a good offensive coordinator, to what we're saying, I don't think he's going to allow that to happen.
Well,
I do like that storyline. That doesn't make me feel good. Again, you're triggering me.
I think, Kane, one thing you can take solace in is while Baker actually did get the ball out pretty quickly against the Commanders, I saw, at least when I was looking, and this, again, could be just because the Commanders' DBs are cheeks and the Lions' DBs are actually fine, kept the ball in front of them at least. He was going deep a lot. He was targeting those deeper parts of the field. And while Chris Godwin is an awesome player, he is not Cooper Kupp. And Baker Mayfield, another awesome player, is not, I would call them not like a dollar store version of Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp, but they're almost like if you're going to Whole Foods and that's Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, you go to Kroger and you're getting Baker Mayfield and Chris Godwin. Solid. It's going to do its thing. But the other thing as Drew's worth to interject here, the middle of that Bucks line is average at best. And I forget which one it was. It was either Bredesen or Mauch. I think the guards were getting mauled against even the Commanders. Now, the Commanders do have two fantastic D tackles, but I think you could say the Lions have two fantastic, not to the level of the Commanders per se, but Aleem McNeil, Levi Onwuzurike, and DJ Reader's going to be back. So we're going to pressure up the middle. And the thing we have that the Commanders don't have is elite edge. We have a pretty solid secondary and good linebackers. So I think the reason that the Bucks were able to throw all over the place was because of that. And their runs, if you look at their runs, a lot of it was bizarre, kind of like almost like what do you call it? Jet sweeps. It was getting kind of like guys in space. I don't think that'll work as well against the Lions. If they did not do a good job, even against the Commanders, just power running the ball.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I will say the strength of their O-line is definitely on the tackles. Tristan Wirfs is great. And then we were talking about Luke, but he's probably going to have a concussion because he went from limited practice to do not practice, which means he didn't get better. It means he got worse, what I take from that.
Potentially,
so, I'm looking for a big game out of Aiden. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
For the Bucks? So absolutely not. God, no. Actually, I would, and I'll just...
just let him through.
It's like, come on.
Come sack him.
Fair enough. So our last matchup that we are looking out for is Rachaad White versus Anzalone. And so Rachaad White poses a pretty awesome dual threat capability for the Buccaneers. And Anzalone sitting right now tied for the most tackles. And we saw his performance in week 1 of anybody in the league. I'm interested to see how he helps fill in covering the running back out of the backfield, and as well, like you said, being stout and stopping the power run up the middle. So that's my last matchup, and that's a big matchup that I'm interested in seeing.
I think the Lions had a pretty good run defense last year, if I'm not mistaken, didn't we?
2 years in a row. Correct. Even when we're even in our 9-8 season.
We've made some good running backs look not so great against us, so I'm pretty confident in that.
Yeah, I'm confident in our ability. So, real quick, guys, before we get into our player prop bets, what do you guys think the score of the game is going to be? Drew, what do you think?
I don't know. We kind of already said it, but I think that I think the Lions are going to put up a lot of points, and I think to keep up, the Bucks are going to need to. I think Baker's going to need to pass a lot. I think they're going to have to air it out. I saw the line 7.5 points. So I think that's a lot of points. And I didn't like it at first, but after thinking about it, I just don't trust that Baker will be able to keep up. And I think Jared Goff has a clean game. So all that to say, I think it's going to be high scoring, but 38-24.
38-24. How about you, Jim?
I like your thought. I initially also thought the spread was pretty wide, but obviously this is a Lions podcast, not an unbiased podcast. I do think the Bucs will move the ball a little bit. I think similar to the Rams game, though, they'll struggle in the red zone, and I think Terrion's going to get cleaned up a little bit. And so I do like the Bucs to move the ball down the field a little bit. They have a great kicker. But I'm going with an identical score to last year's playoff game, 31-23. I think the Lions offense puts up a lot of points and is able to convert, and the Bucs offense is able to move the ball but not necessarily score as often, get in the end zone rather. So 31-23.
That's a good prediction. And then, George, you agree with the guys? What do you think?
I say 28-17. We win.
Hammer slogging.
28-17. Well, it sounds like I'm right around where you're at and where Jim was at. I was thinking the score is going to be 28-20. Lions win.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
They win and they cover.
They win and they cover.
I
think we can't go this game without the combination of Godwin, Mike Evans, and Rachaad White. Two of those guys score at least one. And then potentially 2 field goals out.
Wait, real quick, George. What your score is? You said 24-17?
28-17.
28-17. We all have them covering.
Yes. Although I do think maybe we're discounting the Bucs a little, but I can't help but to think that defense is so hurt that the Lions are just gonna it's gonna be a little bit of fireworks.
It's in Detroit. Yeah.
By the way, real quick,
sucks for them, but it's our game.
What a name. just like the YouTuber. I wish he was the one out there playing defense. That'd be great.
It's not him?
I don't know about any YouTubers named Bryce Hall, but...
You don't know Bryce Hall? Kane, you're out of touch, bro.
This is something that the TikTokers are all about, Jim?
Yeah, he's friends with Josh, and he was friends with some other guy whose name I don't remember anymore.
What the hell?
And Dixie D'Amelio's ex-boyfriend.
Josh Reynolds?
No, not Alex. I don't even know who that is.
I only speak ball, man. Come on.
Look
at the hat over here. I look like Charlie Villanueva. Come on.
George,
yeah.
Selective memory, suddenly, these guys.
You know a couple TikTok dances, don't you? Hit me with one.
Come on, give the chat a TikTok dance.
Come on.
Take your shirt off.
Who are you talking
Come on,
to, me?
clip it. Let's go.
Yeah.
Come on,
I know
make
you're
it fun,
into
George.
high school is
Dude,
all about.
me?
Come on, give it to me.
Do a thirst trap dance.
Hey, hit a Dougie. Hey, hit the Dougie or something.
I'm not. No.
Hike your shorts up so we can see your ass.
Next time we run the intro, we all got to get up and hit the Dougie during it.
Okay.
Deal.
Not
Drew's
true.
Drew's like, I ain't doing that shit. Anyways, let's go into what people actually care about on this episode. It's the player prop bets. We got a couple degenerate gamblers on this podcast. Drew. But yeah, let's go ahead and let's start. So I think I went second last week, so I'm going to go ahead and go first this week.
Well, real quick. So two things. We didn't come up with a punishment from last week, or a season punishment, and so I mean,
How many punishments are we going to have on this podcast? For fuck's sake, I'm not doing this to just torture myself.
why wouldn't you want to win then? I mean, like,
Can it be food related? Can we do one that's food related?
George, I thought you were a glutton for punishment.
What the hell are we doing? I didn't sign up for this, just constantly being harassed.
Loser, whoever has the worst record has to eat.
Get shot in the chest.
50 dumplings in one time.
50 dumplings.
50 dumplings, holy hell. And you can't leave until you finish them.
Can't leave, and you have to put it on live stream, Instagram Live, or maybe we have a live stream
YouTube Live. We'll put it on Twitch. We'll do all of it.
Oh, you say this now after I've lost one.
Well, I'm 0-1 too.
Okay.
And
50 dumplings, that
gang,
just sounds
Jim.
like a good little night.
So we didn't speak about this offline, but a little. I think it should be a little tradition. It's like maybe I am a degenerate gambler, but I think that whoever gets to go first. Okay, it's you this week. It was me last week. We got 4 picks, and I think whoever goes first should have to put in a parlay.
Did you end up putting in a parlay for last week?
I did, and
what happened? We got clapped. You and George fucked you over.
No, me.
True.
Yeah, that's true.
Brady.
Hey,
all right.
First.
Hey,
it's gonna hit. It's gonna hit
Expecting
eventually.
to run the
Sure, it is.
the
Pinky in the
trading
brain.
running back
All right.
offense.
Listen.
Like who could have predicted Amon-Ra gets what, like 9 receiving yards?
I did.
All right, we'll see.
I remember I said J-Mo, Waymo 300-yard game. That didn't happen though. All right, listen, George, look at me in my eyes.
So
I will put this parlay in. You better not pick something ridiculous. All right, come on.
Yeah.
Help a brother out.
See.
Come on.
You can see.
All right, here we go. So we're gonna do our draft.
So, are we locking in the dumpling punishment?
Yeah, we'll do the dumplings. We'll do
Sure,
dumplings.
I got to do
sounds fun.
gluten free because I got a defective stomach, but yeah.
George, our Detroit foodie, will find an extravagant dumpling place, and the loser will drop.
Shout out to National Celiac Awareness Day. It'll be this Friday.
All right, shout out to celiac disease, or the absence of it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get my first pick in. Quit all that talking. Let me get that pick in. So we saw the breakout game, and I don't think it subsides. This is the year. I'm taking Jamison Williamson. I'm taking him for over 45.5 yards receiving.
Egad. I think that's
Jamison Williams.
I like it.
Over 45.5.
I think that's a gimme.
That's a gimme.
simple.net.
If I do win, are you guys gonna be pissed that like I'm maybe choosing the freebies? I'm choosing the gimmies, or am I just that good?
What was the deal with that? Jim took a ridiculous one last time. I was so pissed when I heard he took that, and he gets a point for that. Goff over a
It
half
works,
yard,
bro.
That's the stupidest
That
thing.
works.
The fact that that's allowed, I'll do that every game.
Hey, Pinky in the brain.
You can
Pinky in the
do
brain.
it. It's not going
Jared
to
Goff
be.
that was not a guarantee. He's finished plenty of games with negative yards, Pinky.
We'll see.
So I don't want to hear it from you.
That's easy peasy.
Hey, listeners, you gotta forgive my friend George. He's new to betting.
That was
Apparently he's
ridiculous.
new to life. Anyways.
Hey, George,
So Jim, you're up.
All right. Here's my pick.
Yep.
I'm going Rachaad White under 40 rushing yards.
Wow.
He did not get 40.
Drinking the Kool-Aid. Huh?
No, I think he's the threat in the pass game. I think he's honestly low-key kind of cheeks in terms of straight running the ball. And I think they gave Bucky Irving almost as many, if not more, rushing attempts last week.
Okay.
Who, by the way, stashed on my fantasy team. But I do.
Trash.
We'll see. Dynasty League. But I do think that Rachaad White will play a role in the passing game, but he is not the type of running back that thrives against the Lions. Quite frankly, there's not a lot that do thrive against the Lions, but he's definitely not going to be the one to, if he does, it's going to be some goo gaga ass play. It's not going to be like power running. So Rachaad White under 40, lock it in. If you want to bet the house on it, do it. Your kids can, have a nicer house.
Got it. All right, put it in the tracker. You're locked in. Alrighty, George, what's up, man? We've been waiting for you, man. Come on.
All right. Well, that surprised me, that pick right there. I was panicking because, Jim, you had the same, like a very similar bet to what I was going to bet. So I was like, what the hell? Jim goes before me. I didn't realize that. So I was panicking.
What is it? What's your bet?
Goff over.
You guys are twinning.
267.5. I'm taking the over. I think they're going to ball. I'm going to listen to my friends who talked about the offense earlier and said that we were going to ball. I believe they're correct. And I think Goff's going to show out. So
Drew made you drink that Kool-Aid. All right.
certainly.
Drink your jum.
All right, Mr. Kool-Aid, what you got?
Can't believe this didn't get taken. But with you guys must not listen that much. But I just don't trust. After last week, I'm on Raw not providing, it's uncertainty with who Jamal Dean's gonna match up with. I love the Sam Laporta over 52.5.
Okay.
I think he's gonna eat inside.
Okay.
Last year, he during the playoff game, he led the team in receptions. Some would say he ate. I think he's gonna eat again.
He consumed for sure.
Well, there you guys have it. Thank you, everybody, for joining in and listening to this preview of the Detroit Lions vs. Tampa Bay Buccaneers for Week 2. As always, have a great day. Love you.
George, why don't you pop
Bye.
that shirt off, buddy?